Hello fellow Earpers and welcome back to my Wynonna Earp recap. Today we're going to talk about the last episode in season 2 of Wynonna Earp, the episode number 12 called I Hope You Dance. And right before we start, let me just say that I was very surprised, but positively surprised by this episode, because you might have seen in the last recaps that I was not sure where the whole story arc is going, and this was a really superb season finale, better than the one of season 1, which I didn't think it would be. So I'm a really big fan of that episode, and especially because there was such a good mix between action and emotion. So you always had these action scenes coming in, and then you had in between these emotional character bits where there was a lot of conversation and interaction between the characters, and the mix was pretty nicely made. So let's talk about a few characters, shall we? First, let's talk about the evil team up, which is Bobo the Ray, the two widows, and the demon Bolsha. Even though the demon Bolsha doesn't have an active role at the moment, but these 4 evil entities the Earp Squad was up against this episode. And I really like how complex the interaction between the evil characters was. They all had their own intentions, and especially the growing tension between the widows was pretty nice. So we had this scene where Bobo, Beth, and Mercedes go into the old mine to recover Bolcha's body, and Beth is talking all the time to Bobo to tell him that he better not cross them and he better not betray them because they can kill him anyway. And the person who betrays Beth at the end is Mercedes, or the widow Mercedes. And this is pretty cool because we've seen this tension between the two of them through the whole season. And now finally Mercedes decides that it's the 21st century, even for evil widows, and she's going to take the ring from Bolsha and take the power for herself and try to bury Bobo and Beth in the mine. And that was a pretty cool moment. I like that very much. Also acting wise, pretty nicely done. We go on to season favorite, Jeremy. And Jeremy, I have the feeling, finally gets a bit more plot at the end of the season. So we see him finally becoming part of the family. If we remember how the season started, he started as a BBD agent and everyone thought he was a spy, especially Wynonna. And now she says she's really glad that he stayed in purgatory, so we go full circle there. Then we have the talk between Nicole and Jeremy where he says that he stayed because he didn't have to fit in, he just could be himself. And for me that kind of speaks for the Earper fandom. People can just go there, can be themselves, and they don't have to fit in, and this is what forms the family of the Earpers. Then we found out that Jeremy might be a supernatural entity, so him finding out all these places and the pieces of the puzzle might not just be due to his intelligence, but actually due to some kind of seer capability. We're not sure yet. He also builds this very fancy plastic weapon and shoots Bobo the Ray. One of my personal highlights, because he's crap with firearms, but he just builds one that kind of suits his needs. So a very nice thing. And there's a Jeremy and Doc team up, and Jeremy of course is still hopelessly in love with Doc, or crushing on him, but they all kind of come to an understanding how this dynamic works and how it doesn't. Then we have the sister relationship between the Earp sisters. I'm not speaking about Waverly and Wynonna as their own topics, because they spent most of the time together this episode, and I think the most important thing is their relationship in it. And what happens is that I think at the beginning of the episode and through it, they still have kind of trust issues. I mean, Waverly betrayed Wynonna, didn't trust her enough, but Wynonna also kind of understands. And then we have this great moment where Wynonna, I think it's twice, Wynonna in the beginning says that of course Waverly's an Earp, and later on we have this scene in Shorty's where she asks Peacemaker to shoot over, even though Waverly's holding it, and kind of manifesting her position in the family with it. So that was pretty nice. They also teamed up together to go to the Iron Witch to force her to make the bullet, and there was very cool acting in that. Just the face acting was pretty good. You saw the connection between sisters and the body language and everything. I really, really loved it. And then of course we have the scene where Wynonna has to give up the baby, and the thing is, Nicole promised to take it over the line, bring it away from the Ghost River Triangle, and I think Waverly's kind of heard that Wynonna didn't ask her to do that, and Wynonna wanted to protect her and wanted to break her heart like at the last moment and not beforehand, is what she says, which is interesting because we have this reoccurring topic of characters trying to protect each other without the knowledge of the other person, and then there's conflict after that. So we have it again in this episode. Then we find out the baby's not a revenant, Waverly's not a revenant, but Bobo calls her kin, so she might be a supernatural entity, but we don't know what she is. But the baby is definitely Doc's. Moving on to Doc. Doc Holliday he's pretty strong this episode, especially emotionally. We see him at the beginning standing on top of the well. It's not clear if he's thinking about ending his own life, kind of, but he's clearly devastated. And later on we learn that he did not go to heaven when he died, but he went to hell, and that he went where all the revenants are, and he has seen his future, he's seen how his life is without Wynonna, and he's becoming a horrible person. And I think that really has an impact on him, especially connected with his mortality, because now he knows he has to die, and he knows that the consequence of that will probably end him in hell, and he's not sure if he can make enough retribution to actually not end up there. But the idea of helping Wynonna and helping this baby kind of gets him back. Dawes tells him, come on, we have to take care of the baby, and then he's pretty great through the whole episode. Then we have him actually killing something, which is pretty nice. I mean, he says he's actually killing something. He's assisting in killing something. In basketball, I would call it an assist. He's not really the one shooting the two widows. Moving on to Dawes. Dawes doesn't have a lot of scenes this episode. It's kind of not about him, which is fine. He has the scene with Doc at the beginning, and then he has the scene with the Order where he tries to get the doctor. And that's pretty nice because you see how tight the family actually is. He's not this like secret agent operative anymore who would decide kind of rationally on what's best for all humanity or the fight against demons or whatever, but he decides for his family, which is the Earp Squad. And then he gets his like major dragon moment of burning them all down, and then he comes back right in time to support Wynonna in her amazing shootout with all the revenants and shorties. So he has a few cool action scenes, but not that many interactions with all the other characters. The same for Nicole. She does have a few interactions with Waverly and a few with Wynonna and Jeremy, so kind of keeping the team together, but it's not really her story arc in the episode, and I won't really touch on it because it doesn't make that much sense at the moment.